What did you overhear when someone didn't know you understood their language? When I was in college, I studied abroad in Germany for a year. Before that, I'd taken 4 solid years of German classes, plus a summer intensive course. I wasn't perfect, my grammar slipped sometimes, and my accent was obviously foreign, but I could carry on a real conversation. The thing is, I didn't look like someone who spoke German. I have a very American look, and people often assumed I was just another clueless exchange student who only knew how to say danke and order a beer. That assumption led to one of the strangest, most uncomfortable situations of my life. One rainy afternoon, I ducked into a small cafe near campus to read and wait out the weather. It was cozy, low lighting, the smell of coffee and pastries, quiet chatter all around. I ordered in German, and though the waiter understood me fine, I could tell by his polite smile that my accent gave me away. I took a seat by the window, cracked open a book, and got lost in the sound of rain. A few minutes later, 2 German girls sat down at the tiny table right next to mine. They were maybe my age, trendy, laughing in that casual way that makes you feel like you're intruding even though you're just sitting quietly nearby. At first, I didn't pay them much attention, but then one of them tilted her head toward me and said softly in German, "Schau mal, der Amerikaner da. Sieht aus, als hätte sich verlaufen." Look at the American. He looks like he got lost. Her friend giggled. Ja, bestimmt nur hier zum Saufen und Feiern. Versteht sowieso kein Wort. Yeah, he's probably only here to drink and party. He doesn't understand a word anyway. I froze for half a second, but kept my eyes on my book. My heart was pounding because suddenly I wasn't just reading, I was eavesdropping on myself being judged in real time. They weren't being vicious, but the way they laughed stung. I was trying so hard to immerse myself in the culture, and here I was being reduced to the stereotype of a dumb American abroad. I stayed silent though, pretending to be absorbed in my book. Then their conversation drifted. They started gossiping about people from their class, professors, weekend plans. Their tone shifted, less playful, more conspiratorial. One of them lowered her voice and said, denkt, ich bin treu, aber eigentlich schlafe ich seit Wochen mit seinem besten Freund. He thinks I'm loyal, but honestly, I've been sleeping with his best friend for weeks. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard correctly, but she kept talking, laughing nervously while her friend gasped and egged her on. They dissected every detail from how she hid her text to how her boyfriend was too naive to ever notice. And then, as if fate wanted to test my poker face, the guy she was trashing walked into the cafe. I recognized him instantly. He wasn't just some German guy. He was a student in my exchange program. Not close to me, but familiar enough that I knew his name, had sat through classes with him, even done group projects nearby. He came over, kissed her on the cheek, sat down, completely oblivious. She transformed in a heartbeat, smiling sweetly, touching his arm, asking about his day. If I hadn't just heard her confession, I would have thought they were a perfectly happy couple. Meanwhile, I was sitting one table over, holding a coffee cup like it was the only thing keeping me anchored to reality. I wanted to scream, dude, she's lying to you, but I also knew that would expose me for eavesdropping and break the illusion that I didn't understand. So I sat there, in this bizarre double life. To them, I was just a background character, a clueless foreigner. But in my head, I knew the entire plot twist they were hiding. That half hour felt like forever. I pretended to keep reading, but every word blurred on the page. All I could hear was their laughter, her fake sweet tone, his casual happiness. It was like watching a play when you already know the tragic ending. I wrestled with myself for days after. Should I tell him? Should I drop a hint? Was it even my business? Eventually, I decided to stay out of it. Relationships are complicated, and I didn't want to be the random foreign student who blew up someone else's life based on what I overheard. But a few weeks later, word spread anyway. The guy found out from someone else, dumped her, and it turned into a storm of drama. The details didn't surprise me at all. What did surprise me was how much the experience stuck with me. I realized that when people assume you can't understand, they reveal raw, unfiltered versions of themselves. No performance, no masks, just honesty, sometimes cruel, sometimes careless, sometimes dangerous. It also changed the way I carried myself in public. On trains, in parks, at bars, I started noticing conversations all around me. I didn't eavesdrop intentionally, but my ears picked things up automatically. And more than once, I heard people underestimating me, assuming I was too foreign to grasp what they were saying. There's something unsettling about being invisible like that. You feel both powerful and powerless at the same time. You know things you shouldn't, but you can't always act on them. That day in the cafe taught me more than any class about human nature. People let their guard down when they think you're not listening, and sometimes what you overhear will change the way you look at them forever. So yeah, the wildest thing I overheard was a girl admitting to cheating on her boyfriend right before he walked in and kissed her hello. And she had no idea the clueless American at the next table understood every word.